Welcome to Not Your Average Blonde, the mindset and wellness podcast where we break limits, rewrite stories, and create extraordinary lives. I'm your host, Melissa, and I'm here to help you rise higher, live braver, and dream bigger. Let's get into today's episode. What if you stopped waiting for permission and just started living the life you actually want? Welcome back to Not Your Average Blonde. I'm Melissa, and I want to welcome you back for another week and another episode. I have a feeling this episode is going to wake something up in you, or at least I hope I do. It definitely did for me, especially as I was jotting down like my notes for it and trying to get an idea of what I wanted to talk to you about this week. It was amazing just how much of it flowed and what I was able to create, and I'm super excited to share this topic with you. I think it's going to be incredibly relevant for so many of you. So let's, start getting in. This topic is something that's been buried, waiting, maybe even aching to be seen again. We're talking about possibility today. Not the kind that looks pretty on a Pinterest board or the kind that gets stuck in your journal for years without movement, or that what if thought or in another life dream that you hold in your mind and ruminate on occasionally. I know you know what I'm talking about. We all have it. I'm talking to you today about the kind of possibility that grabs you by the shoulders and says, let's go. It's time. You all know at this point, I'm a woman of action. That's what I'm here to do, helping you reframe your mindset to help you move into action. I'm here to help you move off the X and generate momentum in your life. This episode, I want to caveat, was inspired by the work of Ben Nemteen. And if you know him, you know why. If you don't, I'll give you a quick summary. He helped start a project called The Buried Life, where 4 friends asked the question, what do you want to do before you die? They created a list, they chased it, and along the way, they helped strangers chase their dreams too. Pretty cool and inspiring story, and the movement that he's been able to cultivate across the globe, and he's been able to achieve some pretty amazing things. But for this episode, it's not just about making a list or a list of aspirations. It's about unlocking the part of you that forgot how to dream in the first place. It's about movement, meaning, and that terrifyingly beautiful moment where you act before you feel ready. So let's dive in. Let's go. To kick this off, I want to talk about why possibility matters right now. What if you stopped waiting for permission and just started living the life you actually want? I know, easier said than done, right? But I want you to sit with that question for a moment, not just in your head. I want you to feel it in your body. What if you stopped waiting? Waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right time. Oh my God, so many people allow waiting for the right time to just get in their way. I'm not here to shame you about this, but I don't know about you, but I definitely have had seasons of life where everything looked great on paper, whether it was career, my image, goals checked, but deep down, I felt stuck. And not stuck in a lazy way, but stuck in a trapped way. I have been in this phase for a couple of years now and can't exactly leave due to a contract when it comes to my career, but I have come to this point several times in my life. Another big pivotal point that comes to mind was when I was trying to decide if I should get divorced or not, and then when to pull the pin for getting divorced. And I got caught in that cycle of waiting for that right time. But when you make those excuses, when you're caught in that cycle, you wake up, you go through the motions, you hit the marks at work, and you still are left wondering at the end of the day, why does this not feel like my life? If you've ever felt that, you're not crazy. I assure you, you're not. So many people are experiencing this right now, and you're definitely not alone in this matter. Sometimes we're not living our dream, but we're living someone else's dream. I do want to caveat that I have no regret with the path that I have chosen in my life. This dream that I currently am living was a dream that I had several years ago. I am literally living the dream that I had 10 years ago. But over time and with experience and a lot of personal growth, I've outgrown this dream and have more aspirations for higher potential. I have a much broader vision for what I want my life to look like. My goals and virtues, they align differently in my life right now than what they were back then. And so this current dream that I'm currently living is no longer suited for the woman that I have developed and cultivated into today. And I say all that because for you, I want to give you that reminder that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to leave behind and move forward from past dreams. You're not a failure. You're just evolving. And that, my friends, is when we know it's time to come home to ourselves. Because here's the truth. The version of you that's stuck, second guessing, running on autopilot, that version of you, it's not broken. You're just buried. You're buried under expectations, you're in survival mode, you're trudging through burnout, trauma, responsibilities, the weight of who the world told you to be, you name it, whatever label you want to put on it, you name it. And this episode, this conversation that I'm having with you today, want to unearth you. I want to help you to be able to unlock possibility, not as some vague motivational poster idea, that you see on some hallway somewhere. It's about unlocking possibility, not as some vague motivational poster idea, but as a lived experience, as a daily practice of your choosing again and again and again. I was inspired to do this episode after revisiting the work of Ben Nimteen, which I briefly introduced to you at the beginning of this episode. Like I said, you might know him from his book, Buried Life, or in his book, What Do You Want to Do Before You Die? But his overall message is simple but powerful. And it is that happiness is the joy you feel moving toward your potential, not arriving at your potential, just moving towards it, taking steps, getting messy, trying, failing, learning, expanding. That's what makes us feel alive. And that really hit me because I've had seasons of life that looked great from the outside, the kind of seasons people point out and say, wow, you're killing it. But inside, I was numb, disconnected, burned out. I was checking all the boxes, but I was living someone else's dream and a dream that didn't even feel like mine anymore. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're performing instead of living. Maybe you're waiting for the world to calm down or for everything to make sense before you take the leap. I laugh because as I'm recording this, the world is an absolute chaos once again. But it just further proves my point of you just got to take that leap. You can't afford to wait for, when there's peace again or whatever excuse it may be. And maybe you're in the middle of a transition. You're going through a breakup, a job shift, a spiritual awakening, but it all just feels like nothing makes sense anymore. So let me be the one to say it's okay if you don't have it all figured out, but it's not okay to stay stuck just because you're afraid. So this episode is a call forward, a gentle but honest wake up, a reminder that clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from moving, even if the step is small, especially if it's small. I have found, through little by little, it really does compound to bigger things. So we're going to talk about what it means to create a life that feels true. We'll dive into the emotional cost of staying stuck, how to recognize when you're off path, and how to find your way back. I'll walk you through tools, a challenge, and a framework that I've created called the Not Your Average Life Map, designed to help you rebuild your vision from the inside out. But before we get there, I want to ask you something. What do you want your life to feel like? Not look like, to feel like. Because unlocking possibility begins by being honest about where you are and being brave enough to imagine something more. So let's get into the next section. Let's slow down and talk about something we don't always want to talk about. This is depression and anxiety. I want to caveat, I am not a psychologist or a doctor of any type. I'm not here to give you a clinical definition or like a diagnosis of this. I am here to talk about the kind that hits when you're living out of alignment and how it feels when you aren't living your authentic self. There are two very real experiences that so many of us carry quietly while the world keeps telling us to keep going, to smile more, be grateful, and to just push through. But let me ask you something. Have you ever had a season where your body kept showing up, but your soul didn't? Where you kept saying, I'm fine, when really you were just surviving? That's the version of depression I want to talk about, the quiet kind, the slow kind, the kind that creeps in when we're out of alignment. Because here's what I've learned. From my own life and from watching the people around me, depression isn't always sadness. It's not always tears or darkness or dramatic breakdowns. Sometimes depression is disconnection from yourself, from your purpose, from possibility. It's what happens when you've stopped feeling alive, when the things that used to excite you now feel heavy, when your life no longer feels like your life. And that disconnection, it's often a symptom of stagnation. We are not built to stay still. We are not wired to suppress everything, to numb out, to live for the weekend, or call it a life. We are meant to move physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. And when we stop moving, when we settle into a life that doesn't match who we are or what we want, our system starts to shut down. Not because we're broken, but because we've betrayed something essential inside of us, something that whispers, this isn't it. It's that gut feeling, like you know it. You know it deep down when something is not right for you. In my own life, depression has shown up when I've stayed too long in jobs or relationships or places and identities that I've outgrown. And instead of changing, I clung on to what was familiar. I clung on to those things that I knew. And change is scary. Even when we know that we are miserable, sometimes we choose the pain that we know because at least it's familiar. But here's the shift. That discomfort, that heaviness, that lack of energy, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's your body and soul begging you to listen, to realign, to come home. Depression, it often shows up when we stop moving, when the life we're living doesn't match the one we crave. It's not always about being sad. It can feel like numbness, disconnection, emptiness, and a loss of direction. Stagnation, it's a breeding ground for depression. We feel stuck, heavy, and hopeless, not because we're broken, but because we've stopped growing. We've stopped moving towards something that excites us, that stretches us. That place sucks. The next topic is about anxiety because anxiety, it's a different flavor, but it's connected. Anxiety for me has often felt like being trapped inside my own skin. Like there's a storm happening inside my chest and I can't find the door out. And what I've noticed is that my anxiety spikes the most when I feel out of control or like I'm trying to force myself into a life that doesn't fit anymore. We think anxiety is about doing too much, but sometimes it's about doing too little of what matters. It's that tension of knowing you're capable of more, meaning for more, and you're stuck in a life that's too small for your soul. I have been in this position for well over a year now, and it's tough. It is really hard. And I have found that anxiety, it can also come from those unmade decisions. And I think you know what I mean, but it's when you have those things that come up, but you keep pushing them down. It could be the conversation that you avoid or the dream that you talk about, the dream that you talk yourself out of every day. Unmade decisions, they do eventually become energetic clutter, and that clutter creates noise in the body. And with anxiety, there's that constant hum of unease, like you're running in place with nowhere to go. For many of us, anxiety is our body screaming for change, for clarity, for control in a world that feels incredibly chaotic. But here's the thing, both of these emotions, depression and anxiety, they are signals. They're not signs that you failed. They are signs that something is off, something needs to shift in your life. And that shift, it doesn't come from thinking, it comes from moving. Even a tiny action can start to shift the weight. So, why are we talking about this in an episode of Possibility? I wanted to talk about it because when you feel depressed or anxious, possibility feels far away. It feels like something for other people, people who are more stable, more secure, more certain. But what I wanted but what I want to tell you is this. You don't have to wait until you feel better to begin. You begin to feel better by moving, not in a performative, hustly, fake it till you make it way, but in a slow, gentle, intentional way. One small movement, one action aligned with who you really are. One honest conversation, one walk outside, one dream written down, even if you don't know how to make it happen yet. Movement is the medicine, not just for your body, but for your spirit. That's why this episode is not about motivational fluff or productivity hacks. This is about choosing aliveness again, choosing motion, not perfection. It's about understanding that even in your lowest, most uncertain moments, possibility is still there, waiting. You don't need to fix yourself to access it. You just need to move. And in the next segment, in the next bit of this podcast, I'm going to show you how. So let's talk about what happens when we finally give ourselves permission to want what we actually want. Because somewhere along the way, a lot of us stopped dreaming. Not because we didn't care, but because we got tired. We got burned. Because somewhere along the way, a lot of us stopped dreaming. Not because we didn't care, but because we got tired. We got burned. We got told to be realistic, to be humble, to be grateful. I had one coworker that told me one time that all dreams are meant to die. They aren't meant to be achieved. Like, how fucking depressing is that? But it's that type of mindset, that type of attitude is what buries people. It kills your joy. It ruins your desire. It disrupts your direction. So here's the truth. When you stop letting yourself dream, you don't just lose sight of your goals, but you lose pieces of yourself. And this is why I created this brand. This is why I created Not Your Average Blonde. This is why I created for this episode the Not Your Average Life Map. It's not just a dream list. It's a self-reclamation tool, a mirror, a blueprint, a map to back you. And here's how how it started like for me. I hit a moment in my life where I was doing all the right things. The things that get you praise, the things that look successful, but inside I felt flat, uninspired, tired in a way that rest just could not fix. And one day I had a very dear mentor of mine who asked me the following questions. What would I do if I knew I could not fail? If money was not a factor? I've spent years ruminating on this question. I've sat down many times and have asked myself the same questions, as well as what would I do if no one else had to say? If money wasn't a factor, if I stopped caring what people thought? When I've taken the time to really hone in and focus on that simple question, what would I do if I knew I could not fail? I suddenly had a flood of answers that came up. And it's the most like off the wall things, but they're answers like nonetheless that speak true to my soul. Some of them was, write a New York Times bestseller, fly first class internationally, fund girls' education in the Middle East or Africa, take my sisters on a luxury vacation, hike Everest Base Camp, laugh with friends in the Mediterranean, build a wellness course and a journal that actually changed lives, fall deeply and wildly in love with someone who's also my best friend and partner in life, someone who chooses me every day. I want to work with Dear Media someday. I want to explore the world, at least 100 countries minimum. I want to build something that lasts. These are just a few things that are on my list, and none of these dreams were reasonable, but they are to me. And in that moment, I realized just how much of myself I had put on pause just to survive, just to keep the peace, just to collect a paycheck, just to stay safe. And maybe that's where you are right now, living a life that works on the outside, but it feels like you've turned down to a low volume on the inside. I want to introduce you to the concept that changed everything for me. And I previously mentioned it, but it's called the Not Your Average Life Map. It's a guided vision map for bold and authentic reinvention that I created. It had inspirations from a bunch of other research and stuff that I've done, but this is the custom map that I built for me that I have found that has worked. It's not a bucket list. It's not a New Year's goals worksheet. This is about reclamation, about returning to the version of you that knew how to dream before fear, burnout, or betrayal took over. This is your blueprint for expansion, not based on what's trending, but based on what's true to you, what's authentic to you. And when you put things to paper, when you name it, for some reason, it just ignites something within you. Something just wakes up. It stops being a vague feeling. Like all those concepts that you have, all those dreams, it no longer feels out of reach or vague, but it starts to become a plan. So here's how to build yours. I want you to take out a blank page, digital or physical, and break your life into these 10 categories. Yep, I said it, 10 categories. That's a lot, but trust me here. The first one is travel and adventure. For this bucket, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to go with? The sky's the limit with this. Like I said, money is not a factor. You don't need permission from other people and you're not going to fail. So throw it on this list. The next one is relationships. What do you crave and love? And for friendships and for family, write down your vision here. Whether, it could be you want to take your family on an all expense paid for trip to Disney World. You want to take your loved one to Paris. You name it. Put it there. Career and contribution is the next bucket. What kind of work lights you up? What gets you excited? What are those things that you get excited to talk about? How do you want to impact others? This is, like I said, this bucket is the career and contribution. So it doesn't always have to be completely work focused, but the contribution that you want to make into the world. The next one is creativity and expression. What wants to come through you? Is it writing? Is it design? Is it music? Is it building something? Do you want to be a DJ? Do you want to be an artist? You name it. Do you want to create a garden? What excites you? And even if it doesn't have to be something that you've done before. It can be something completely brand new that you've always been it'd be really cool to take a blacksmithing class. Throw it on there. Put it on the list. The next category, number 5, is wealth and finances. How do you want money to feel in your life? What financial goals actually excite you? Be as specific here and be as broad here as you want. Put it all down here. Next is health. This is your mental and your physical health. What does vibrant well-being look like for you? Again, get down to the nitty-gritty. Put the details down here. That could be, waking up 8:00 in the morning, getting a matcha, going to your Pilates class, stretching, you name it. What is your routine? Put it all down there. You want to go do a retreat somewhere. You want to participate in a CrossFit competition or a Spartan race. Put it down in this category. The next category is personal growth. Where do you want to evolve? What do you want to learn, heal, master? Sky's the limit here. If you always wanted to learn, maybe take a massage therapy class, put it here. What skills do you want to evolve? Do you want to become more self-aware? Do you want to heal, past traumas for your childhood? Put it down here in this category of personal growth. The next category is spirituality or faith. What helps you feel connected to something bigger? You can do a lot with this category, and I'm going to leave it broad because I don't want to influence what your spirituality or faith means to you, but put those items down that apply for you and those dreams that you have in this bucket for how you want to develop more spiritually and how do you want to increase your faith. Next is your environment. What space helps you thrive? Is it in the city? Is it in nature? Is it quiet? Is there color? Is it by an ocean? Is it in the mountains? What is your house like? Is it decluttered? Is it more, you enjoy knickknacks or you want more artwork in it? You name it, your environment. And also put down your work environment here. For me, I'm an empath and I am incredibly sensitive to my environment. So I am very careful with what I bring into my space within my home, my bedroom, and at work. Now, the last category is giving and legacy. Who do you want to help? And what do you want to leave behind in this world? What do you want your mark to be? Put that down in this category. For all of these, don't overthink it and don't censor yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone if you don't want to. So the sky's the limit here with all this. And because this isn't a performance, this is a declaration for you. You're allowed to want what you want. You don't need permission. You don't need to justify it. You just need to be honest because most of us don't fail because we aim too high. We fail because we aim too safe and then wonder why we feel unfulfilled. So, yes, your life map might scare you a little. It might feel too big and overwhelming. And that's how you know it's real. Your soul doesn't crave ease, it craves expansion, it craves growth. So, ask yourself, what would I do if I had $1 million in the bank and zero fear of failure? Seriously, let it rip. Put it on this list. Would you write a book, hike Nepal, buy homes for your family, create a journal, travel the world, fall in love? Those aren't all just wishes, they're clues. Clues pointing you toward the life you were meant to build. Your life map becomes your personal blueprint. It's one that will continue to grow with you. You're going to add to it. You're going to cross things off as you achieve it. This is something that reflects not just goals, but alignment with your inner self. I encourage you to break it down into those 10 categories of self that I mentioned before. What would make you feel more alive in each one? This is your sacred map, not just because it's perfect, but because it's yours. And don't worry, this map isn't final. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to edit, to add, to evolve. But the act of creating it, that's what unlocks movement. It shifts you from autopilot into authorship, from survival into creation. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to be average. At least I should hope not, because you're listening to this podcast. You want to be anything but average. You're here to become something boldly, beautifully your own. And it starts with giving shape to what's been living in your heart. So, what's on your map? Because I promise you, once you write it down, you will start to see the world differently. Opportunities will show up. The universe will provide. Energy will return. People will surprise you because you're moving in the direction of you. And that's where the magic all begins. So now that you've created your not your average life map, you've looked yourself into the mirror and said, this is what I really want in life. You've taken your first step towards a life that actually feels aligned, but then something happens. That fire starts to fade. You doubt yourself. You shrink a little. And before you know it, you're back to your routine. And the dream is still there, but it's behind a fog of fear and distraction. That's not coincidence. That's what I call the saboteurs of possibility. These are the internal voices and habits that pull you back to smallness when you've just began to expand. And you are going to come across this. It happens almost every single time. It's part of the universe. It's going to happen. You're going to have those things that are going to oppose you and they're going to challenge you. And these can be negative thought patterns, self-limiting beliefs that hinder your potential happiness. It could be life events, tend to often be automatic, unconscious reactions that occur when you are faced with challenges, which can cause stress. It can lead to self-doubt and other negative emotions. These are what hold you back from achieving your goals and living a fulfilling life. But I want to help you navigate that. So I'm going to introduce you today to 3 of the biggest things that are going to sabotage your possibility. The first one is the delay delusion. This sounds like I'll do it when we tell ourselves we're waiting for the right time. After the promotion, after the breakup, after we are more confident, after we've lost those 10 pounds, you name it. This one's sneaky because it sounds reasonable. I'll start the business once I save some more money. I'll go on that trip when I have more time. I'll write the book after the kids are older, after I leave this job, after I heal more. We convince ourselves that we're being smart, strategic, responsible. But if you zoom out, you realize you've been saying, I'll do it when for months, maybe even years. But what you're really doing, you're bargaining with fear. You're waiting for circumstances to give you the green light instead of realizing that you're the one holding the keys. The not your average blonde reframe here is this: the right time isn't coming. You have to create it. Even if the action is small, book the class, make the call, write the page, start, because waiting doesn't protect your dream, it suffocates it. You don't need the perfect season, you need a decision. The next one is the comparison spiral. This one sounds like they're already doing it and better. Why would anyone care if I do it too? This one shows up like a punch to the gut when you least expect it. You're scrolling through Instagram, you see someone doing exactly what you want to do. And instead of feeling inspired, you feel like there's no point. You spiral. You think, they're further along than me. I don't have the audience, their network, their timing. It's already been done, so I can't do it. Let me say this with love. The fact that someone is doing it is not a reason to quit. It's proof that it's possible. I use this mindset reframe all the time, especially in the military. I may go through training that is difficult or challenging, gives me anxiety, may feel hesitant, but I remember at the end of the day that so many other people have made it through that experience and they made it. Same thing for when I see someone succeed and who are happy. I don't understand why so many people feel jealousy or want to send negative energy towards that other person when that other person is achieving. There's enough room in this world for everyone to achieve their definition of success. It does not do any good to send ill will towards others or to allow that jealousy to make you bitter. I personally find it a waste of time, and I would rather put my time and energy focusing more on productive outcomes and joy and putting more goodness in this world. Now, getting back to the concept, another aspect I want to remind you of with this is that it's not too late in a world where alignment is the goal. I think I heard a quote actually a couple weeks ago. I was listening to a podcast with Simon Sinek on it, and He got asked a question of if he's ever afraid if someone's going to take his idea. And he said no, because like so many people are afraid of like sharing their ideas, or they minimize themselves because they're afraid of other people taking their idea. Talked along the lines that basically the reason why he's not afraid is because they can't execute it the same way that he executes it. And maybe they do. Maybe they are successful, but he has tons of other ideas and he's also going to execute them in his own unique way. And it's the same thing with you. If you want to start a podcast, like there are thousands of people out there podcasting, but they're not going to deliver it in the same unique way that you are. Your way is going to be different than my way. So don't let that be intimidating to you. You're not behind on things. You're on the path that you need to be. And your path is very deeply personal. Comparison, it really is a thief, not just of joy, but of momentum. The antidote isn't to shut down, it's to zoom back in. Go back to your story, go back to your voice, go back to your timing. No one can do it the way you would. And that's the point. We scroll, we compare, we shrink, but we are not supposed to live someone else's timeline. You are not late, you are layered, and the depth takes time. Now, the last one is the fear of being seen. What if I try and fail? What if they laugh? What if I change and people don't like the new me? Fuck them. This one cuts deep. At the end of the day, fuck them. Because it's not just about fear of failure, it's that fear of exposure. When you share your dream, when you change directions, when you become visible in a new way, you risk being misunderstood. This happens to me quite a bit. Like, oh my God, it is so frustrating at times with just how misunderstood that like I feel, especially like at work. But this is even more reason to move forward. If you've been listening to a lot of like self improvement stuff, the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins is out there. You can look it up, check it out. But it's pretty much is like, okay, yeah, so what if people are going to judge? Let them, fuck them. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just keep focusing on you and move forward. Like, let people, like, they'll show you their true colors and they're going to do what they're going to do. But for you, what you can control is focusing on you. And for many of us, don't get me wrong, like it can be incredibly terrifying. It's very daunting because so many people allow the fear and judgment of others to dictate their actions, especially if you've spent years staying in line, being agreeable, being easy to love and conforming. I get it. Like I went from being in a very high control religion and then went into the military where conforming is a must. And if you don't conform, there are very strict, they're very, how to like put this? It's a very tough environment to fit into if you are not willing to conform to the nature of the environment that you're in and those that are around you. But the thing is that like I've learned is if you're always hiding behind, that fear of what ifs and that fear of judgment from other people, you are never actually going to step into who you are. So here's the not your average blonde like truth. People don't give you credit until you've already done the thing. You're always going to have those people that can judge and cast stones and they're going to put you down. But guess what? Most of those people that are doing those things are ones that are still sitting there on the X themselves. They're not the ones that are moving. They're not the shakers. Like they're not the ones that are progressing and building like in their lives because they're too busy tearing other people down. So waiting for approval before you move, it's a trap. You have to be bold enough to go first. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be honest. And the honest part of you, the real you know exactly what's on that life map and you are ready. So here's the not your average blonde like mental reframe. You don't need approval. You just need realignment. And the only way to get it is to start. Let me wrap up this segment with something I tell myself every time fear creeps in. If it scares me and excites me at the same time, it's probably exactly where I need to go. These saboteurs don't mean you're not meant for it. They mean it matters. And anything that matters will require you to grow beyond who you've been. You've already named what you want. Now it's time to defend it from the fear, from the noise, and from your own old patterns. Because what's waiting for you on the other side of those saboteurs is everything that's meant for you. So now that you've created you're not your average life map, you've been honest with yourself about what you want. You faced your saboteurs. You maybe even took a time or took the moment to like pause this podcast and write out those things that are sabotaging you. You've seen the fear, the comparison, the urge to delay, but now it's time for the most important part, to take aligned action. Because dreams on paper are beautiful, but dreams in motion, that's where the magic happens. So let me introduce you to what I call the Not Your Average Blonde Possibility Loop. This is a simple but powerful practice to turn your vision into momentum. This is a loop because it's not something you do once, you revisit it, you refine it, you reinvent it through and over again and again and again. So here's how it works. There are 6 steps to this loop, to this cycle. The first step is pause for alignment. Before you rush into action, slow the fuck down. Ask yourself, what feels heavy in my life right now? What feels off? Is it your career? Is it your relationship? Is it your finances? Where am I feeling out of alignment with my life map? Where am I living out of alignment with my life map? This step is a sacred step. It's where we stop numbing, we stop pushing through, and we start listening. We tune into ourselves. Sometimes the answer will be loud. I am miserable in my job. Other times it's a whisper. I don't feel connected to the people around me, or I don't feel connected to the mission. Don't judge it. Just notice. Your energy does not lie. Step 2 is to get curious. Now that you've acknowledged the misalignment, don't panic. Don't go fix everything overnight. You're not going to be able to fix it overnight. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a time. But one of the antidotes is I want you to get curious. Ask yourself, what am I craving? What do I feel drawn to, even if it doesn't make sense yet? What's lighting up my spirit, even just a flicker? Curiosity is your compass. It's how you follow energy instead of expectation. And by the way, if you're saying, I don't know what I want, start here, not with pressure, but with play. Let your answers be weird, be messy, be honest, experiment, try new things. The next step is revisiting your life map. There's a reason why I had you write it down, but I want you to go back to Not Your Average Life Map, not just to admire it, but let it speak to you. What category feels the most activated right now? What's calling for your attention? It might be something huge, like launching a business or increasing your savings or repairing your marriage. Or it could be something small, like building a consistent morning routine, getting back into fitness. There's no right answer here, but you have the answer within you. You just need to take the moment to see what speaks to you. Your entire life doesn't need to be overhauled. It just needs to be reclaimed piece by piece. So step 4 is pick one small step. Now, this is important. Don't try to change your whole life in 1 week. Pick one area, and within that area, pick one of those items. Pick one action, one micro move. If you want to travel more, start by researching flights or calling a friend who might want to go. If you want to write something, commit to 1 paragraph this week. If you want to get healthy, start with a 10-minute walk, not a full fitness plan. We are so trained to think that massive change is going to require a massive effort. But if you do that, if you try to make massive change to generate massive effort faster, you're often going to fail. You're going to stumble. It's not going to be sustaining. But where the real momentum comes from, it's going to be built through that repeatable movement, often through the compounding nature of taking those small steps, the little by little. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can do this week that honors my life map? And then do it. No perfection, just movement. Step 5, share it for accountability. This is the part no one talks about, but it does matter because dreams need witnesses. They need air. They need to be spoken out loud. So tell someone you trust, share it with a friend, DM it to me if you want. I would love to hear about your dreams. Write it down in your journal and circle it in gold. Put it on your calendar because when we declare what we're working on, even quietly, we create accountability. We tell the universe, I'm serious. But most importantly, we tell ourselves, this matters. I matter. Step 6, repeat, reflect, and realign. This is a loop, not a checklist. Some weeks you will feel bold and unstoppable, and you may feel like you're going to move mountains. Other weeks you are going to have doubt. Life is going to get messy. You are going to be tired and bogged down. Motivation will dip, and that is okay. Just come back to step 1. Check in, align, get curious, and choose again. This loop isn't about productivity. It's about presence. It's about showing up again and again for the life you actually want. So to recap, the first step is pause for alignment. The second step is to get curious. The third, revisit your Not Your Average Life map. The fourth, pick one small step. 5, share for accountability. 6 is repeat and realign. This is how we stay in motion. This is how we stop waiting. This is how we create a life that expands us. You don't need to do it today, but you do need to do something because the second you start moving, the second you begin to act in alignment, your life will begin to change. This isn't about hustle. It's about intention and direction and trust. Trust in yourself. So as I wrap up this episode, I want to close this out with a challenge to make this more real. I want to leave you with something that I think about a lot. It's from a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. She was a hospice nurse, and over the years, she sat with thousands of people in their final days. She listened, she asked questions, and one regret kept showing up over and over again. I wish I'd lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Now let that sink in, because that regret, it doesn't come from one bad decision. It comes from years of little betrayals, years of playing small, staying quiet, choosing what's safe over what's real. And maybe the scariest part is, most of those people never even realized it was happening until it was too late to change. We don't need to wait for a wake-up call. We can choose now to live intentionally, not perfectly, but meaningfully. The other common regrets that fall under that are, I wish I hadn't worked so much. I wish I'd expressed how I truly felt. I wish I'd stayed in touch with friends. I wish I had let myself be happier. Notice the theme here? So let me ask you gently but directly, are you living a life that feels true to you? Not a life that checks boxes, not a life that other people approve of, a life that feels like it was built by you for you. If the answer is no, that's okay. This isn't about guilting you. This is about choice. Because no matter where you are right now, you can choose to pivot. You can choose to begin. And I know it can feel overwhelming. But there's a part of you that's scared to change, a part of you that says, but what if I fail? But what if it's too late? But what if I lose everything I've built? But here's a better question. What will it cost you if you don't try? We think we have time. We think next year will be better. But no, not one of us is promised more time. Ending up in the hospital earlier this year with a stroke was a massive wake-up call for me. It signaled even more of a reason why I needed to make that pivot and make changes, some serious changes like in my life, and start moving my life towards one that is more in alignment with my beliefs and my values and who I, Melissa, am. I say all this is not meant to scare you, but I want it to wake you up because this life, it's wildly beautiful and it's passing, whether you are participating or not. You are not meant to coast. You are not meant to wait. You are not meant to spend your life making other people comfortable. You are meant to create, to explore, to love, to live fully, to feel awe, to feel fear and move away, to rise, to make your own damn map and go after what sets your soul on fire. So let's make this real. Let's do more than just talk about change. Here's your challenge, and I hope you take it seriously. Go back to your Not Your Average Life map. Choose one dream, just one. Doesn't matter how big or small, just pick one in any of those categories. Now, write down 3 things you can do in the next 48 hours to move toward it. Book that call, send an email, make a vision board, sign up for the class, share it with someone, journal the first page, start the outline, go for a walk, research that flight, whatever the fuck it is, start with that small action and do it. Small actions is what compounds. And when you move even little, you're going to shift that energy. Next is declare it. Don't keep it a secret. Tell a friend, post it, email me, say it out loud. Your dream deserves to be witnessed. Put it on a piece of paper and put it on your mirror every morning. So that way you can see it every morning and every night when you're brushing your teeth. This is how we start. This is how we reclaim our direction. And this is how we build a life we won't regret. So I want to close this by thanking you so much for being here. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, share it with your friends. It greatly helps me out as I'm still trying to build up my audience and get my message out there more. If this episode cracked something open for you, write your list, take the challenge, start small, but start now. And if you feel brave enough, share what's on your life map with me. I'd love to witness your journey and see you achieve what your soul desires within this life. So until next time, I'm Melissa, and this is Not Your Average Blonde. And just remember, your life isn't on hold. It's happening now. So go live it. Thanks for tuning in to Not Your Average Blonde. Remember, your story isn't finished yet, and the best chapters are still ahead. If today's episode spoke to you, share it with a friend, and don't forget to follow the show on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Stay connected, stay bold, and most of all, stay unapologetically you. Until next time.